minute since we released a bait at ICAST. It's actually been 5 years. Hey guys, Michael Bucca brand here. We are super excited to release the baby Trick Shad for ICAST 2024. Let me talk about some of the bullet points with this bait. It's a 6-inch ABS bait. It's 6 inches long. It has a plastic tail. And one of the cool, unique features about it is it has the swivel hook hangers that we are known for on our resin baits. Comes with two number 2 hooks. It also comes with a spare tail. The bait comes in 10 exciting colors. I mean, from bone to natural colors to a little bit of crankbait color. You got a little bit of everything in there for everybody. It also comes with a spare tail. We are also offering spare tails for purchase as well. And one of the cool things about the spare tail thing that I really like that we don't offer with the regular Trick Shad is you come in many different colors. The tail color can act as a tracer. So if you use a translucent bait or a bait that really blends in the water and you can't see, you could put a white tail on there, a pink tail on there, and you can use those tails as tracers so you can keep an eye on that bait and see what it's doing at all times. On line selection, I personally like braid, but you can fish it on any kind of line, fluorocarbon or mono. Usually mono and fluorocarbon, you probably want to stay in the 15 to 20 pound range. 15, 17 will probably be ideal. So that's really cool that it works on any kind of line. Reel ratio, I personally prefer a 7-to-1 ratio reel. Anything that's semi-high speed, not too high speed, but not too low speed. Too low speed, you're going to be working yourself to death. Too high speed, you're going to overwork the bait. So I like a 7-to-1 in a 100, 200 series reel. Is perfect for this little bait. For rod choices, I like the 765 Fury flipping stick for this rod. It's not the ideal rod, but it works really well. There's not a lot of small, tiny swim bait rods out there. Basically what you need is a heavy duty jerk bait rod so that it has a little bit of tip but has some backbone to throw it. But I'm doing really well with the 765 flip for Dobbins rod and Fury line. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I work this bait. The cool thing is there's not a wrong way to work it. There's many different ways you can work it. You can work it like a spook with the rod tip and the reel, pick up the line cadence that you do just like a spook, and you can watch it and vary your retrieve, which gives you the best action of that bait when you're doing that. And that goes for all the cadences. I also use the rod tip to pull it and do what I call the curl. So what it does is it swims like this, and then it comes over and it just sits there on the paws. The cool thing is this bait doesn't fold. It always looks natural. It's not a mechanical look to it. So it sits as a flat profile for the fish to hit, doesn't give off any negative cues. You can also work it like a jerk bait. You can also do the handle chop, which is another very effective retrieve with glide baits, is the handle chop. So adjust your retrieve, adjust your cadence based on how the bait swims, and you'll be really successful with this bait. All right, the one thing about glide bait is, and it goes for all glide baits, both in the custom resin side and the ABS side, is you need to be very mindful on how you store your bait. I would recommend that you store it flat and store it or hang it. Those are the 2 best ways to do it, because if your tail warps, your bait's not going to swim right. You know, it goes like on a rudder of a boat or something that's crooked, it's just not going to have that same directional swim that you would expect out of your bait. I'm going to talk a little bit about how to fish glide baits and where to fish them. The first thing I want you to do is make sure that you're not intimidated to throw a bait like this. This is a everyday forage for a lot of fish, especially the bigger size ones. But as you saw earlier, I caught a small fish on a 6-inch bait. It wasn't much longer than 14 inches. So don't be intimidated by the size of the bait. What I want you to do is fish this bait like you would a jerk bait or a topwater. Same type of areas. Throw them around cover, boathouses, laydowns, grass lines, any place where there's a fish. Put it in the same areas that you would like, in the same types of gear that you would normally fish them. If you're catching fish on a topwater, you will have fish, you can catch fish on a glide bait because they're coming up, they're reacting. The biggest thing is to be able to get them to come up. I like to fish these things subsurface, right under the water. It is a super slow sink in my terms. It sinks very slow. the cool thing is I didn't want it to sink like a rock, because it's much easier to get a bait to sink faster than it is slower. You can just add different hooks or add suspend strips or whatever. So I wanted it to start out as a slow sink. So I like to be able to see the bait coming through the top. I see about 90% of the fish that hit my bait on a glide bait when I'm fishing it. Usually you see a swirl, you see a flash or whatever. And that's why I like to be able to see it. So you might want to put some cider stripes on it, or like I said earlier, change the tail to white so that you can use this as a tracer, so you can keep a track of where your bait is and you can work it appropriately, see how it's swimming. But don't be intimidated and throw stuff. This is what fish eat every day. This is the shape. It looks like a shad, swims like a shad. Does a spinnerbait swim like a shad? Does a trick worm swim like a shad? This is real here, you know, so there's really no trickery involved. So that is what we do as resident guys, is we try to mimic nature the best that we can, make it look as real as it can so that the fish will hit it. So those are some tips that hopefully help you to catch more fish when you're throwing our new baby Trick Shad.